Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Sunday, December 2nd, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night and yesterday's college football games, as well as college basketball, NBA, NHL, go over my final bowl projections before the bowls are released. The playoffs are going to be announced today within almost 100 minutes or so from now. I'll talk about the Robinson Cano trade that's on the verge of being completed. Go over today's NFL slate and what sticks out. And I'll give out my best bet of the day. All right. College football. Number 5, Oklahoma defeats number 14, Texas, 39-27. Oklahoma is in all likelihood going to be in the college football playoff, barring a catastrophe. Texas either the Sugar Bowl or another Big 12 bowl. Appalachian State defeats Louisiana 30-19. You knew Appalachian State was going to win this game. It was just a matter of the score. Louisiana Lafayette capped it within the number. Number 23, Iowa State defeats Drake 27-24. Iowa State finishes the season at 8-4, and they had another good year. A little alarming that they couldn't pull away from Drake. But I think that they knew that they really weren't playing for much other than bowl positioning. NC State kills East Carolina 58-3. NC State finishes the year quietly at 9-3. East Carolina drops to 3-9. South Carolina defeats Akron 28-3. South Carolina 7-5. Akron 4-8. Virginia Tech defeats Marshall 41-20. Virginia Tech finishes at 6-6, so they're bowl eligible for the 26th straight year. Marshall drops to 8-4. UAB defeats Middle Tennessee 27-25 to win Conference USA. They're 10-3. Middle Tennessee 8-5. Liberty defeats Norfolk State 52-17 as Liberty finishes the year 6-6, but they aren't really bowl eligible because they're new to the FBS. Stanford defeats Cal 23-13. Stanford finishes the season at 8-4. Cal finishes at 7-5. Number 8, UCF defeats Memphis 56-41. UCF, in all likelihood, is headed to the Fiesta Bowl. Good for them. Their backup quarterback did a fantastic job filling in for Mackenzie Milton. UCF was down 24-7 and 31-14 in this game. Credit to them for coming back and winning this game. Number 1, Alabama defeats number 4, Georgia, 35-28. That was the game of the day. Tua Tagovailoa hurts his ankle. Jalen Hurts comes in. A little bit of redemption story for him, as he comes in off the bench and leads the Crimson Tide to the SEC championship, and now they're off to the college football playoff, and that is going to be very interesting. Hopefully Tagovailoa is healthy for the playoffs, because I'd be a little worried about Bama without him, despite Hurts doing fantastic yesterday and a bit of a revenge spot for him. Number 25, Fresno State defeats number 22, Boise State 19-16. Good for Fresno State. They're going to be heading to, in all likelihood, the Las Vegas Bowl. Number 2, Clemson kills Pitt 42-10. You would expect that from Clemson. And last but not least, number 6, Ohio State defeats number 21, Northwestern 45-24. They pulled away there at the end as the Buckeyes made itself a case for the college football playoff. I do not think they're going to get in. I think the top 4 are going to be Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. Georgia 5, Ohio State 6. And then I'm going to do the rest of my bowl projections in a couple of minutes. College basketball. Just going to rip through the scores again. No statistics. Stephen F. Austin defeats Milwaukee 6-51. Number 21 Buffalo defeats San Francisco 85-81. St. John's comes from behind and defeats Georgia Tech 76-73. Louisville defeats Seton Hall 70-65. Xavier defeats Oakland 73-63. Alcorn State defeats Russ 103-66. Indiana defeats Northwestern 68-66. Number 10, Kentucky defeats UNC Greensboro 78-61. Army defeats Fairfield 63-60. Ball State defeats IUPUI 85-75. Bryant defeats New Hampshire 75-65. Jacksonville State defeats North Alabama 76-65. The Citadel defeats Mercer 79-69. Loyola Maryland defeats Mount St. Mary 75-65. Holy Cross defeats Fairleigh Dickinson 67-49. Ole Miss defeats UL Monroe 83-60. Number 1 Gonzaga defeats Creighton 103-92. Hofstra defeats Kennesaw State 78-52. Drexel defeats Robert Morris 82-69. Boston University defeats Elon 65-58. Bucknell defeats Monmouth 65-43. UMKC defeats Purdue Fort Wayne 90-73. Binghamton defeated Hartwick 89-70. Hartford defeats Bowling Green 76-63. UMass Lowell defeats NJIT 94-71. Toledo defeats Cleveland State 80-67. South Carolina Upstate defeats Western Michigan 71-66. Lehigh defeats Arkansas State 82-70. Eastern Kentucky defeats High Point 70-69. Chattanooga defeats Tennessee Tech 71-60. Evansville defeats Abilene 65-49. Indiana State defeats Wright State 69-63. Miami of Ohio defeats Wilberforce 88-57. Green Bay defeats Belmont 192. Marquette defeats number 12 Kansas State 83-71. Number 20 Texas Tech defeats Memphis 78-67. Number 23 Villanova defeats LaSalle 85-78. Northeastern defeats Eastern Michigan 81-67. Fresno State defeats Cal Poly 76-67. Siena defeats Hartford 67-64. St. Peter's defeats Maine 63-59 in overtime. Chicago State defeats Eastern Illinois 80-72. Rio Grande Valley defeats Arlington 76-65. Colorado defeats Colorado State 86-80. Gardner-Webb defeats Savannah State 97-60. Longwood defeats VMI 65-45. San Diego State defeats Illinois State 75-65. Southern Illinois defeats SIU Edwardsville 82-61. Number 7 Michigan defeats number 19 Purdue 76-57. Ohio defeats Marshall 101-84. West Virginia defeats Youngstown State 106-72. Charleston defeats Charlotte 72-64. St. Bonaventure defeats Delaware State 90-61. George Mason defeats William & Mary 87-84. Princeton defeats George Washington 73-52. Idaho defeats North Dakota 67-54. Bethune-Cookman defeats FAU 72-70. Little Rock defeats Sam Houston State 79-52. Brown defeats Navy 67-50. Texas State defeats UTSA 69-68. Presbyterian defeats North Carolina A&T 75-70. Furman defeats Western Carolina 90-88 in double overtime. Furman, by the way, is still undefeated. They're 8-0. Loyola Chicago defeats Illinois Chicago 73-64. NC Central defeats McNeese 67-66. Kent State defeats Norfolk State 78-67. Hampton defeats Regent 114-55. Southeast Louisiana defeats Tulane 62-61. South Dakota defeats Cal State Bakersfield 68-56. Number 5 Nevada defeats USC 73-61. Number 24 Maryland defeats Penn State 66-59. Number 13 Virginia Tech defeats Central Connecticut State 94-40. NC State defeats Vanderbilt 80-65. LSU defeats Grambling 78-57. St. Louis defeats Butler 64-52. Providence defeats Rhode Island 59-50. Akron defeats Detroit Mercy 71-59. Utah defeats Tulsa 69-64. Louisiana Tech defeats Houston Baptist 85-78. Number 2 Kansas defeats Stanford 90-84 in overtime. Temple defeats St. Joe 77-70. North Florida defeats Charleston Southern 76-70. Lamar defeats Rice 75-68. Jacksonville defeats South Carolina State 71-69. Liberty defeats Georgia State 78-52. Lipscomb defeats Middle Tennessee 84-74. Northern Colorado defeats Wyoming 85-80. Cincinnati defeats UNLV 65-61. Drake defeats North Dakota State 95-88. Number 3 Duke kills Stetson 113-49. Santa Clara defeats Northern Arizona 81-74. Old Dominion defeats James Madison 67-42. Davidson defeats UNC Wilmington 91-85. VCU defeats Iona 88-59. Stony Brook defeats Quinnipiac 71-61. Fordham defeats Manhattan 57-56. Oregon State defeats Missouri State 101-77. Western Kentucky defeats Tennessee State 88-74. Wofford defeats East Tennessee State 79-62. Austin Peay defeats Alabama A&M 73-61. Richmond defeats Wake Forest 84-74. Yale defeats Miami 77-73. Western Illinois defeats Southeast Missouri State 70-63. Syracuse defeats Cornell 63-55. Arkansas kills FIU 121-89. Wichita State defeats Baylor 71-63. Pepperdine defeats Abilene Christian 77-62. Seattle defeats East Washington 88-68. South Alabama defeats Florida A&M 66-57. Louisiana defeats Southern 88-78. Murray State defeats Prairie View 83-67. New Mexico defeats Bradley 85-75. Tennessee Martin defeats UNC Asheville 87-70. Weber State defeats BYU 113-103. Houston defeats number 18 Oregon 65-61. Utah Valley defeats Denver 98-75. New Mexico State defeats Washington State 69-63. Grand Canyon defeats Boise State 69-67. Cal State Fullerton defeats Cal Lutheran 99-60. South Dakota State defeats Northern Iowa 82-50. UTEP defeats Northwestern State 77-47. Arizona State defeats Texas Southern 83-71. Pacific defeats Air Force 82-69. St. Mary's defeats Cal 84-71. Sacramento State defeats Cal State Northridge 88-68. Cal Baptist defeats Mississippi State 107-71. San Diego defeats Long Beach State 74-70. Utah State defeats UC Irvine 89-65. Portland State defeats Portland Bible 123-40. Today's slate is small. Texas A&M Corpus Christi at number 6 Tennessee at 12 o'clock. 1 o'clock on ESPN 2. Arizona at UConn. 1:30 Colgate, Florida Gulf Coast. 2 o'clock Delaware Columbia. Sacred Heart Lafayette. UC Riverside Valparaiso. 3 o'clock ESPNU. UCF Missouri. Oral Roberts SMU. Rust Southern Miss. 4 o'clock Maryland Eastern and East Carolina. 5 o'clock Big Ten Network, Illinois, Nebraska. 7 o'clock Big Ten Network, Minnesota at number 16 Ohio State. 8 o'clock UC Santa Barbara and Washington. And 10 o'clock is Loyola Marymount and UCLA. Now I'm going to go through yesterday's NBA scores. Some surprises in there. The Knicks defeated the Bucks 136-134 in overtime. The Pistons defeated the Warriors 111-102. The Wizards defeat the Nets 102-88. The Raptors defeat the Cavaliers 106-95. Rockets defeat the Bulls 121-105. Celtics defeat the Timberwolves 118-109. And the Kings defeated the Pacers 111-110. 6 games on today's slate. You have 3:30 the Suns and the Lakers. 5 o'clock the Pelicans and the Hornets. 6 o'clock the Jazz and the Heat. The Grizzlies and the 76ers. 7 o'clock the Clippers and the Mavericks. And the Trailblazers at the Spurs. Hockey. Big slate yesterday. Again, just going to run through the scores. The Senators defeat the Sharks 6-2. The Stars defeat the Canucks 2-1. The Red Wings defeat the Bruins 4-2. The Canadiens defeat the Rangers 5-2. The Lightning defeat the Panthers 5-4 in overtime. The Jets defeat the Devils 4-3 in overtime. The Islanders defeat the Blue Jackets 3-2 in the return of Nassau Coliseum. The Flyers defeat the Penguins 4-2. The Maple Leafs defeat the Wild 5-3. The Predators defeat the Blackhawks 5-2. The Coyotes defeat the Blues 6-1. The Oilers defeat the Golden Knights 2-1. Today's slate, you have at 3 o'clock the Ducks and the Capitals. At 6 o'clock the Jets and the Rangers. 7 o'clock the Sharks and the Canadiens. The Avalanche and the Red Wings. The Flames and the Blackhawks. And 10:30 the Hurricanes at the Kings. Quick NHL news before I go on to my bold projections. William Nylander and the Maple Leafs finally got a deal done. 6 years and $6.9 million a season, which leads to $41.4 million overall. Good job by the Maple Leafs to keep an asset on the table without letting it get away. Next up, to extend Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Final bold projections of the season as the college football playoff rankings will be, the top 4 will be revealed in about 80 minutes from now. And then the New Year's Six Bowls come out at 2 o'clock. The rest of the rankings come out at 3 o'clock. So, my college football playoff, as I said to you before, in the Cotton Bowl, number 4 Oklahoma against number 1 Alabama. And the Orange Bowl, number 3 Notre Dame against number 2 Clemson. By the way, Notre Dame-Clemson would be a fun rematch. Don't forget, these two teams hooked up in 2015, and Notre Dame went for 2 at the end and were denied of it. They went for the win. Brian Kelly made the ballsy decision. It didn't pay off, and then Dabo Swinney and company came away victorious. Notre Dame, by the way, was a favorite in that game. The rest of the New Year's Six Bowls I have in the Peach Bowl, Florida and Penn State, Fiesta Bowl, UCF and Michigan, the Rose Bowl, Washington and Ohio State, the Sugar Bowl, West Virginia and Georgia. The other bowl games, New Mexico Bowl, Louisiana Tech and Nevada, the Cure Bowl, Tulane and Louisiana, Las Vegas Bowl, California and Fresno State, Camellia Bowl, Miami of Ohio and Georgia Southern, New Orleans Bowl, Appalachian State and North Texas, Boca Raton Bowl, UAB and Tulane, Frisco Bowl, Toledo and FIU, Grispilla Bowl, Cincinnati and Miami, Bahamas Bowl, Northern Illinois and Marshall, Idaho Potato Bowl, Western Michigan and Utah State, Birmingham Bowl, Temple and Vanderbilt, Armed Forces Bowl, Army and Houston, Dollar General Bowl, Buffalo and Troy, Hawaii Bowl, Southern Miss and Hawaii, First Responder Bowl, Middle Tennessee and Duke, the Quick Lane Bowl, Georgia Tech and BYU, the Cheez-It Bowl, Oklahoma State and Stanford, Independence Bowl, Boston College and Boise State, the Pinstripe Bowl, NC State and Minnesota, the Texas Bowl, TCU and South Carolina, Music City Bowl, Mississippi State and Iowa, Camping World Bowl, Texas and Pitt, Alamo Bowl, Iowa State and Washington State, Belk Bowl, Syracuse and Missouri, Arizona Bowl, Arkansas State and San Diego State, the Military Bowl, Memphis and Virginia, Hyundai Sun Bowl, Wake Forest and Oregon, the Red Box Bowl, Purdue and Arizona State, Liberty Bowl, Baylor and Auburn, Holiday Bowl, Wisconsin and Utah, Tex Slayer Bowl, Kentucky and Virginia Tech, Outback Bowl, Texas A&M and Michigan State, and the Citrus Bowl, LSU and Northwestern. Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, the trade is near finalized as they've been sent to the New York Mets from the Seattle Mariners for prospects Justin Dunn, Jared Kelenic, and Gerson Batista. Also in the deal, Jay Bruce and Anthony Swerzak, as the Mets also take on $20 million. And I'm going to look at it both ways. The Mets are going for it. A ballsy move by their new GM, Brody Van Wagenen. And Diaz is one of the elite closers in the game. You have control of him for 4 years. He was arguably the best closer available, whether it was free agent or on the trade market. He was the Mariano Rivera Award winner this past season. And he's certainly an upgrade over Jesus Familia and whomever the Mets had last year. Robinson Cano will play second base for them, as Jeff McNeil will become like a utility guy for them per se, as he was kept but wasn't traded away. A lot of people don't like the fact that the Mets gave up Jared Kelenic in the deal. A lot of people are saying that he's going to be a star, but you never know what prospects. Some of them can pan out and others cannot. And Justin Dunn's a solid prospect. Gerson Batista throws hard. And yeah. So I think it's a rare win-win for both sides, although you could argue that it's a rare lose-lose because Robinson Cano could flop, and you could argue that the Mariners didn't get enough for Diaz alone. Although Kelenic, to me, with Dunn, is a nice package for Diaz. So, if you want to break it down like the 3 prospects for Diaz and then the 2 players for Cano, then you could say, well, they should have got more for Diaz. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. I don't like to be judgmental right away on a trade unless if I feel really strongly about it. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. With Robinson Cano back in New York, can Edwin Diaz handle a spotlight in a big game? And let's face it, the Mets have put themselves right back in the conversation in the NL East with this trade because Washington's probably going to lose Bryce Harper. Philadelphia is going to spend their money. Atlanta added Josh Donaldson and brought back Brian McCann, and their core's getting better. So the NL East looks like a 4-team horse, even though the Nationals might lose Bryce Harper because they have some talent. Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg are still in that rotation. You have a good core, Anthony Rendon and Trey Turner, Victor Robles, Juan Soto. The upgrade at catcher were Kurt Suzuki and Yan Gomes. So that's still a decent team there in Washington. So really the only bad team in that division is the Marlins. Now I'm going to go over today's NFL slate and what I'm looking forward to seeing. First up on the list is the Bears at the Giants. That's a game on Fox. The Bears defense, can it win the game by itself like it did against the Lions? I think it can. The Giants are a worse team than the Lions, although the Giants have arguably better skill position guys than Detroit in Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr. And I won't be surprised in 24 hours from now people are saying that Eli Manning has to retire at the end of the year. It's going to be that ugly of a game. The weather's not nice in MetLife Stadium either, and that favors that defense. The Ravens and the Falcons. Can the Ravens win their 3rd straight with Lamar Jackson? Yeah, Atlanta's the favorite, and they probably deserve to be a favorite, even though they're 4-7 and the Ravens are 6-5. But the Ravens are playing their backup quarterback, and they're on the road in a dome. And Lamar Jackson really hasn't shown me much in those last 2 games against the Bengals, in which that was a close game, and the terrible Oakland Raiders. The Bills and the Dolphins is the worst game on the slate. Josh Allen showed some promise in the game against the Jaguars. Can he do it again? And Ryan Tannehill wasn't bad in that Colts game. Can he play again? Or play that well again, I should say. The Broncos and the Bengals. Can the Broncos avoid the letdown? I think they can because Jeff Driscoll is starting a quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams at the Lions. Can the Rams avoid a trap? I think they can. The Colts at the Jaguars. Can the Colts avoid a trap? The line is very low at 4. And I think that the Colts are just going to destroy the Jags. Cody Kessler starting. And that's all you need to know. And the under is probably a smart bet here too. The Browns and the Texans. This is another tricky spot for a decent team. Will the Texans' winning streak come to an end against Baker Mayfield and the Browns? But here's the thing with Baker Mayfield. I think their winning streak's going to come to an end because they've played bad defenses the last 3 weeks in Atlanta, Cincinnati, and somebody else. I can't think of who it was. But they played 3 bad defenses in a row. I think that comes to an end against a good defense, or I should say a good pass rush in the Texans. The Cardinals at the Packers. A much-needed win for Aaron Rodgers and company. Will Rodgers rebound from a subpar performance against the Vikings? The Panthers and the Buccaneers. Will the Panthers finally get off the schneid and put themselves back in the conversation for a wild card spot in the NFC playoffs? the Bucks. Will their offense do it again? They faced a couple bad defenses in a row with the Giants and the 49ers. Although they lost the Giants game, but Jameis put up garbage time stats in that game. And then you have, at 4 o'clock, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Now the story of this game becomes, how can the Chiefs overcome the Kareem Hunt news? I didn't even talk about that on yesterday's podcast. Kareem Hunt, a video was released of him on TMZ beating up a woman, and then he was put on the commissioner's list, and then the Chiefs outright released him. So this all happened on Friday afternoon, and it's a pretty stunning story, and now the Chiefs lose one of their key players, and how are they going to recover without him against a bad Raiders team? The Jets and the Titans. Can the Titans get off the schneid? They got blown out 2 weeks in a row against division opponents in the Colts and the Texans. Now this is a nice opportunity for them at home against the backup quarterback in the Jets to get off the schneid. The 49ers and the Seahawks. Can Russell Wilson keep up this good pace? He should absolutely be in the conversation for the league's MVP award, single-handedly carrying this team perhaps to the postseason, and the 49ers are just one of the worst teams in football. The Vikings and the Patriots, that is the best game of the day. You have a Patriot team that is looking to get a good win against a good team, and a Viking team that's looking to play themselves a good road game. The last time they had a good road win was at Philadelphia, it seems like, because they lost to the Bears, and then they lost at home to the Saints, but then they beat Green Bay at home. So they've been a little Jekyll and Hyde in terms of big games, but we'll see how they do here. I think this is a close one. And in a good Sunday night game between the Chargers and the Steelers, can the Steelers rebound from that bad loss against the Broncos? And how can the Chargers recover without Melvin Gordon? That's it for NFL Talk today. We'll go over the Monday night game tomorrow. And today's best bet is courtesy of FanDuel. I have for you a moneyline parlay of the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Rams, the Kansas City Chiefs. Although I'm holding my breath there. Maybe bad karma comes their way with the Kareem Hunt situation. The Tennessee Titans, the Seattle Seahawks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. So 19 moneyline parlay plus $13.30. I wagered $1.75 to win $25.03. And a bonus one for you, sponsored by DraftKings. Packers, Bears, Texans, Broncos, Colts, Rams, Chiefs, Titans, Steelers, Lakers, and Valparaiso in college basketball. Plus $18.86. I win $19.99 with a payout of $21.05. And that's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping all the football games, go over the college football playoff, and all the bowl games, and NBA, NHL, college basketball, anything else that goes on in the world of sports. I'll be doing guess the lines for the bowl games shortly. I know Tuesday I'm going to be doing guess the lines for NFL Week 14, as well as Army-Navy guess the lines. So I'm going to wait and do guess the lines for the bowl games next week, as there's going to be some players sitting out in bowl games. So we'll wait a week to do guess the lines for that. We'll do Army-Navy guess the line, as well as NFL Week 14 guess the lines on Tuesday. So I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.